Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Wednesday, August 6th, 2025. Today is day 670. Greetings from the Holy City of Jerusalem. I've been having meetings here with religious leaders across all three Abrahamic faith traditions, with political leaders, with both the US government and others. And honestly, I'm like both so encouraged and I have hope that there can be progress, and I'm just devastated at the same time. One of the greatest things that I'm experiencing, and I come here pretty regularly, is that there is such an incredible gap in terms of the information that is believed and taken to heart by different communities. And one of the political leaders I met with today said, you know, we have to base our decisions on truth. And then he went on to spout things that I know not to be true. And I just share that with you to say, we need an intervention where light will shine in darkness and where the truth will set these leaders free. Because I think there's actually a lot of people of goodwill who don't have a perspective that's a holistic perspective, and they just listen to one narrative to the detriment of all of the people here. So that's all I'll say in terms of those meetings. Maybe I'll be more articulate tomorrow, but I'm brokenhearted. And I also see doors opening. And so God have mercy. Come, Lord Jesus. And when I read the news today, there's more heartbreaking news. So 670 days, the U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, and President Trump met earlier this week, and they discussed plans for the United States to, quote, take over, end quote, providing aid to Gaza. They said Israel's not handling it adequately. We agree on that point. According to two U.S. officials and an Israeli official, Israel supports the plan to increase the U.S.'s role. And yet I still don't understand. UNRWA distributed aid for more than 16 years, according to Israeli security protocols, and they have the mechanism to distribute aid today. And the fact that aid is not being allowed to be distributed is causing horrific, horrific devastation to the people of Gaza. Trump yesterday said that the U.S. would not interfere with Israel's decision on whether or not to occupy more of Gaza. He stated that the call on potentially expanding military operations is pretty much up to Israel. Again, God have mercy. A source who spoke with individuals close to the Trump administration said that Washington has decided to grant Israel freedom in their actions in the Gaza Strip, but they are seeking improvements in terms of the delivery of aid. President Trump has so far not spoken out against Israel's plans to expand fighting in Gaza. He says it will be up to Israel, but he said that the administration's focused on feeding the people. Tomorrow at 6 p.m., Israel's security cabinet is set to meet. They'll be discussing plans to expand the fighting in the Gaza Strip. According to a source familiar with the details, those close to Netanyahu are not discussing a swift operation that would seize the remaining parts of the Strip, but instead a gradual step-by-step campaign aimed in part at creating a threatening effect on Hamas by taking territory piece by piece. And that's horrific, horrific, horrific news. We want Hamas to be held accountable for their crimes, and we want the people of Gaza, who are civilians, to not have to pay the price. And that's exactly what that sounds like. The UN Assistant Secretary General Miroslav Jenka yesterday called on the Israeli government's reported plans to expand operations in Gaza deeply alarming, telling the Security Council that such a move would be catastrophic and could endanger the lives of the few remaining hostages in Gaza. There were 4 aid trucks today that overturned onto a crowd. This was close to midnight yesterday. It killed 20 Palestinians and injured an additional 30, adding that the rugged road on which the incident occurred was under Israeli military control. Separately, the health ministry said that 5 deaths were recorded that were a result of malnutrition. The ministry added that the total number of aid seekers killed since the beginning of the war has risen to 1,655, and more than 11,800 people wounded while they were seeking aid. The death toll in the last 24 hours was 135 people, and 771 wounded by Israeli fire in the Gaza Strip in the last 24 hours. As I mentioned, there were 5 deaths due to malnutrition in the past day. This brings the death toll of victims of hunger and malnutrition to 193 individuals, and that includes 96 children. Gideon Sa'ar is the foreign minister of Israel. He's not yet formulated his position regarding the plans to expand military operations in the Gaza Strip, but he's expected to raise questions at the meeting that's happening tomorrow. Finance Minister Smotrich here in Israel addressed reports surrounding Israel's designated budget for humanitarian aid to Gaza, saying Hamas can't be defeated with tanks alone. And the IDF issued an evacuation notice to residents of the Nasser neighborhood in Khan Yunis in Gaza, calling them to evacuate westward. The army emphasized that the evacuation order does not include the Nasser hospital. The Mufti of Jerusalem, Sheikh Mohammed Hussein, was suspended from the Al-Aqsa Mosque for 6 months. This was a decision of the Jerusalem District Police Commander. His defense attorney, Najim, said Hussein intends to petition the High Court of Justice. And in Israel, Jeremy Ben-Ami, the president of the liberal Zionist group J Street, he's actually based in Washington, D.C., but he said he does not believe Israel is committing mass genocide, or he does believe Israel is committing mass genocide in Gaza. That's J Street. It's a policy organization in D.C. This statement came only days after he repeatedly denied this claim while debating Mehdi Hassan, a pro-Palestinian U.S. journalist, on Pod Save the World. In response to his sudden shift in opinion, he said, "I have, however, been persuaded rationally by legal and scholarly arguments that international courts will one day find that Israel has broken the International Genocide Convention." That's a really significant deal. The Israeli military chief of staff, Zamir, has presented Netanyahu and other security and defense officials with options for continuing the campaign in Gaza. According to reports in Israel, Zamir, who previously signaled his opposition to conquering Gaza, reportedly told ministers that full occupation would endanger the remaining hostages and exhaust the army. Physical confrontations occurred at the IDF headquarters between security officials in Israel and the family of hostages. This was during a rally calling for the release of the hostages tonight, Wednesday night. And, the Tel Aviv rally for hostage release, the theme was "the time is running out" as hundreds gathered in this protest. This included family members of hostages. They were preparing to march around the perimeter of Israel's military headquarters to protest the government's decision to occupy the Gaza Strip. Hostages and Missing Family Forum is organizing the protest, which will culminate at a rally at Hostage Square. They said, "Time is running out. Our loved ones can't wait any longer. We either must bring them home now or lose them for good. There are moments in history when we will stand up and do what's right, and this is that moment." They carry a message for the IDF chief of staff, Zamir, that said, "This war has run its course, and the only path to real victory is a single deal that will bring everyone home." There is starvation in Gaza. There was another anti-war protesters rally in the south of Israel calling for the IDF to withdraw from the Gaza Strip. Dozens of anti-war protesters demonstrated at the Yad Mordechai junction in South Israel. This was organized by the Standing Together movement. Protesters held pictures of Gazan children and could be heard saying, "In Rafah, in Eshkol, let the children go up. And there is hunger in Gaza. Get out of the strip now." The opposition leader in Israel, Lapid, said occupying Gaza is a very bad idea. Yair Lapid, this was when Prime Minister Netanyahu held a security update with him as the opposition leader and with the military secretary. He said, "I told Netanyahu that occupying Gaza is a very bad idea. You don't make such a move if the majority of the people aren't with you." And he said, "The people of Israel are not interested in this war, and they too will pay a heavy price for it." The country of Jordan said that Israeli settlers attacked a Gaza-bound aid convoy today, Wednesday. This was the second incident in days, accusing Israel of failing to act firmly to prevent repeated assaults. The convoy carrying 30 trucks of humanitarian aid was delayed in its arrival in a violation of signed agreements. Government spokesperson Al Momani told Reuters, "This requires a serious Israeli intervention and no leniency in dealing with those who obstructed the convoys." Iran today executed 2 different men in separate cases, accusing one of spying for Israel and the other of being a member of the Islamic State group. A report by the Judiciary News, Minzan Online, identified the alleged spy as Ruzbe Vadi, who was accused of relaying classified information to Israel's intelligence service, the Mossad. Authorities said Vadi provided information about an Iranian nuclear scientist who was killed during Israel's June strikes, according to the report, which did not identify the scientist nor the time and place of Vadi's arrest. Vadi met the Mossad officers 5 times in Vienna, Austria, the report said. Israel's ambassador to France, Joshua Zarka, said in June that Israel's 12-day war on Iran included targeted strikes that killed 14 physicists and engineers involved in the nuclear program. Iran has hanged 7 people for espionage during the conflict with Israel, sparking fears from activists that the government could conduct a wave of executions. Related to Lebanon, Hezbollah says that the Lebanese cabinet's decision to limit arms to the state is a grave sin. Lebanese armed group Hezbollah today condemned the cabinet's decision to move towards a state monopoly on arms. In a written statement, the group said the move was a result of the U.S. dictats, and that its members would treat it as if it does not exist. The IDF also killed a member of Hezbollah today in South Lebanon, who they say planned to launch rocket attacks towards the Golan Heights. Syria, related to Syria, Israeli Druze spiritual leader Sheikh Malafak Tarif said that the Druze in South Syria are undergoing ethnic cleansing and systematic murder under the nose of the free world. According to him, in the South province of Sueda, it's under complete siege. There's no electricity, running fuel, gas, or communications throughout the region. In terms of the U.S. authorities said they're investigating an arson attack that allegedly targeted a former Israeli veteran in St. Louis. And I wanted to just close with an update from Christians in the Middle East. Listen to how Bethlehem Bible College, after all the things I've described day after day after day, and after today's update, Bethlehem Bible College describes they say the message of peace and goodwill calls us to make peace a reality for all, especially for Gaza and the West Bank. Peacemaking means turning hatred into love and contempt into respect. It is not an easy task. Yet, when we witness the suffering of Gazan families, we are reminded of our responsibility to act. So Bethlehem Bible College calls all of us to be peacemakers, and they're inviting people to join their Bethlehem Institute of Peace and Justice at the Bible College to stand alongside Palestinians, studying peacemaking online this fall with people from around the world, learning from Palestinian scholars and leaders. Together, we can work towards a world of justice and peace for all. BBC is accepting applications now, and I have the privilege of being one of the international instructors teaching on biblical justice and spiritual formation. Might we take their words to heart? Might all of us engage in peacemaking as we seek to follow the Prince of Peace, turning hatred into love and contempt into respect. May it be so in the name of Christ. Amen.